Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Blue Mana Banana and this is Kerbal Space Program, or KSP for short. For those of you that don't know this game, it's a physics sandbox game. Well, there are some new modes, but it just came out of beta. The 1.0 release is here, and well, it's actually 1.02 and something. And I was asked to play this game. Actually, I was asked to fail in this game, so I think I'll give it a shot. I've played this game for about 40 hours during the course of beta and stuff, so I kind of know the basics, and let's just jump right in. I do have some resume saved. I do have some saved games which are in the career mode, and I also tried to play this game in career mode and record it in the career mode, but that didn't turn out so well. Actually, it wasn't that good. So I'm gonna start a new game in Sandbox. I'm gonna call it Mana Pool Corporation. Perfect. Let's choose a flag. Do you have a flag? Phew. Those are a lot. Different options. Let's go for Strutco. That looks okay. Difficulty options, normal. What's normal? Re-entry heating, sure. Resource abundance, 100%. Interesting. Let's... Well, let's leave it at normal then. That's something that I didn't know. See, in Sandbox mode, all parts and features are available from the start. Yeah, R&D and mission control are unavailable. That's something that you have to worry about in science or career mode. That's where you actually have no parts at all, and you just have to get your funds, your reputation, and your science to get money and, you know, build bigger rockets. In science mode, you just have to unlock your R&D stuff, and R&D is research and development for those who don't know. You have to unlock each, well, not each part individually, but bundles of parts via collecting science, but I'm gonna go with Sandbox because otherwise this would just take way too long. And all in all, I just want to give you a short introduction to the game. Yeah, I kinda know what to do, because I kind of played this game. If you think that I'm an expert and I'm gonna show you huge tricks and whatnot, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not that great in this game. I can just cover the basics, I guess. I don't know what this compound is. Oh yeah, research and development. That's closed for a reason. That's our the tracking station, where we can track objects in the sky. If we would have, you know, another space probe out there, or we would have launched something, or if we had a satellite or something orbiting, we could track it here. But that's the moon, or man, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, to be honest, and there are discussions, which is kind of like the moon in our solar system, And you can zoom out. You have a second moon, which is Minimus, and as you can see, its axis is slightly tilted. It's a bit hard to get there, and you can zoom out even further. Then you can see the orbit of our planet, which is Kerbin, around the sun. And you have Eve and Moho, and you know, a bit. That's interesting. I haven't seen this one. In the solar system, you know, the sun, the first, second, third planet, the fourth, which is Duna, I think. Yeah. Then you have Yol and Elo. Okay. And you can imagine that each of them it gets increasingly harder to get there. Even with the tilted axis, it's even worse. But yeah, that's the solar system, and you have to kind of explore it. That's the point of the game. Have to. You can set your own goals in Sandbox mode, of course. So I've talked for 5 minutes, and I haven't even played the game yet. So let's jump right into what's called the assembly center. Right. Just click the little tutorial thingy away, and that's where you build your main rockets. Since I'm not really familiar with the new parts and everything, I think I'm gonna go with a small rocket to start with, so you can see the game basically. So I'm gonna take a remote guidance unit. This one right here, you can see its stats. It has a mass of 0.1 units. Its crash tolerance is 9 meters per second, which I think means that if you're faster than that, it will be destroyed. If not, well, it will resist it. It has a max temperature of 2000 degrees centigrade, which is okay. And it takes, I think, electrical charge of 15, maybe. And I also take a remote guidance system, so I don't have to risk my pilots or astronauts for this. Alright, so here you have the different engines. You can sort it by different things. And also, you know, they're good for different situations, of course. Since I don't need an engine right now, I'm gonna go ahead and take a fuel tank. Might have jumped over this. So let's take an RCS fuel tank, which I'm not 100% sure what RCS stands for, but it's a it's kind of like the control system, the how you would control this thing in outer space, because out of the atmosphere, of course, because you can't control it via the airstream, how you would control an airplane. So let's take a small fuel tank right underneath it. It's okay. As I said, I'm gonna go for a small, short, little guy that will just blast off, and to show off what this thing is all about. These mini engines, as you can see, well, this is an engine for ants. That's actually to, if you decouple stuff, and I'm gonna go into this a bit later. So I'm gonna go for, let's take the Reliant. I know this one. It's okay. It has a mass of 1.25 units. Its crash tolerance is a little bit less than, well, our remote control unit, our RC unit. And has a max thrust of 200.667. Without a unit, I'm not quite sure what this should be. In ASL, I'm not sure what this is either. But I think VAC is in vacuum and ASL is in an atmosphere, maybe. So let's take the Reliant, plonk it down. And that's basically how you build your rocket. You can do much more complicated stuff with all the structural parts and of course the aerodynamic parts. And there are some new things that I haven't seen yet, which are these guys, I think, protective shells. There's a fairings or stuff like this, which you can pop off. Advanced winglet, air brakes, not really useful. I'll think I take a cone or something, small nose cone. That's too small. That's a bit too big. Let's see. Is this guy? Sure. Alright. And of course some winglets. Delta Deluxe winglets. Why not? Also you can change the symmetry mode. If I put it to 3 times symmetry, we just get 3 of these wings on. That looks a bit weird. Let's take another fuel tank. Is this one? Sure. Why not? Put this a bit more on the bottom side of the rocket. Alright, it looks okay. We should go for an SAS module as well. Advanced reaction wheel, that's a bit too big. Nope. Yep. Alright. And RCS thruster blocks. Should take 4, I think. Cool. Now for the boosters. Let's take... No, they're a bit too big. That's a liquid fuel booster, isn't it? Yep. Kickback. Oh, that's huge. Hammer. Yeah, why not? Let's take 3 of these. But before I do that, I'm gonna take something that's called a decoupler. And I think I'm gonna take the radial decoupler. Like so. And then, where are the hammers? Here. Come on, snap to it. Awesome. And, oops, I don't want to sort it by cost. I wanted to take another utility cone. You know, aerodynamics and stuff. And, if I'm not mistaken, perfect stability enhancers for launch. That looks like a rocket, doesn't it? Let's call it Mana Pool Mark 1. You can save it, and then you go to launch. Okay, so here we are at the launch pad. As you can see, I've forgotten something very, 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 very important because I was way too excited about launching this thing into the air. Whoops. Cover this guy. Because that's something that you really, really have to do before you launch it, and that's the staging. But before I do that, I'm gonna take some utility stuff. And that's... No, come on. Where are ya? Perfect. Come on, zoom in, please. Thank you. Let's put a 3 times symmetry on this guy. Awesome. And also on this guy. Maybe I'll go with 4, just for the symmetry's sake. This doesn't look any better, doesn't it? Does it? I mean, doesn't it? Nope. Maybe a bit better. Okay, so what's the staging, or what's this thing on the bottom left here? That's how your rocket will, well, be staged. And what this means is it starts with the bottom thing, so if I press spacebar during the flight, I'm gonna advance to the next stage. So I think it's spacebar. So if I press spacebar in the beginning, these clamps will be released. Also, these 3 boosters will be ignited, which is okay, that's something that I want. If I press spacebar again, I would use this decouplers. Also, I would start these parachutes, which is actually what I want. But what isn't that good, this guy should be one down, because if we press spacebar again, then our fuel engine, liquid fuel engine, will be ignited and use up all this fuel. We will be, I don't know, maybe in the upper atmosphere. And I wanted to press save, but okay. But we're good to launch as well. And the last thing is on the re-entry. We should be able to use our radial mounted parachutes to, well, just be fine for the landing. Good. The 2 things that we really need to do is start SAS, the Stability Assistant, which is this thing here, which controls the rocket, automatically stabilizes the rocket, or tries to stabilize the rocket, and these buttons are new. Gotta look what this is. And I think R activates the RCS fuel, so these thrusters would try to keep the rocket in the path that we set it on. So, without further ado, you can see, well, just shorter view, I guess. This is the nav ball, which is kind of a 3D compass. You have our throttle here, and our the G-forces that are currently active on our rocket. The staging, these are the pitch, yaw, and roll of the rocket. You can go into docking mode, you can look at the orbit map and the staging map here. I think there is an abort button which automatically does whatever you set to it. And you can go to space energy recovery. This is the altitude meter. Okay, of course, lights, landing gear, and brakes. but that's more for planes. I guess we can start now. 15 minutes in, and we are still on the ground. That's bad, isn't it? Well, let's start. And off we go. I might throttle up, that's by pressing shift. You can see down here. So as soon as I decouple our the next rocket should be okay. See, decouple these and press, and we're going. The reason why I put radial mounted, or just why I put parachutes on our boosters is because I don't want them to crash into our launching pad. As you can see, it's pretty stable. Going up at a really nice rate. We are at 10,000 meters currently. We have a velocity of about 500 meters per second. Now it's a bit more. And we're just going straight up. I can use WASD to steer our course. Now I'm pressing just W. Just turn off SAS, press it again, and it stabilizes at this thing, this part. You can zoom out, zoom in, rotate by pressing the right mouse button. And I think is it M to go? Yeah, M is the orbital view, and you can see this is the orbit that we will be taking. Since we have no fuel left, it's not. I didn't want to go in an orbit around the planet. If this would have been my goal, I would have just built another rocket. But this was just a short demonstration on how this game functions. As you can see, we're going to get this parabola. And it wouldn't have been a great orbit either. So, yeah, whatever. The thing is, what you should be doing is trying to go up. Just go out of the atmosphere. And if you have an whatever, the far part of your elliptic orbit, and if you're at the top, you can add a maneuver. And as you can see, you can just adjust this by pulling out these guys. I think the blue ones are directed away and towards Kerbin, or the planet or the thing you would be orbiting. The pink ones your magenta ones are for leveling your orbit, and the green ones are to kind of go backwards or escaping your orbit, I think. So now I would be escaping if I can't burn that much fuel, of course. So that was a kind of idiotic maneuver, so I'm not gonna add it. So you can see if I would have enough fuel, I could go here and do something like this. Maybe I can adjust it a bit. And we would have this orbit. If I was able to, and you can maybe see it right here, this blue thingy here is the maneuver. So if I was able to kind of go here, level it out, and I would have to burn for an estimated, well, very long time, reach a velocity of 1843 meters per second in this direction. And if I would be able to do that, I would achieve this kind of orbit around the planet. You can see the node the time in which we would reach this place is displayed down here. Node in T minus, so this is a countdown. And wait a second, if I press this, would it align with the maneuver axis? That's great. What did I press now? And why don't I get this thing again? That's interesting. Right. Well, I could turn on RC. Why could I turn on RCS? Interesting. Okay, I get it. That's a problem. Okay, the thing why I can't do anything is because we ran out of charge. We don't have any battery left, so we can't do anything. Because this is a remote controlled thing and we don't have any power left. But hey, it's trial and error. It's trial and error. So our nuke thingy, our rocket, will kind of crash because we can't actually activate the parachutes. Can't send the signal to do so. Well, let's just have a look at the crash, shall we? Whee! It's hot. And boom. See, that's something to think about. And that's why I didn't use any Kerbals or, astronauts. Alright. So we could revert to launch, we could revert to the vehicle assembly, which would be great because this was a catastrophic failure. Nobody knows. So now we're back at the planning stage. But I'm not gonna go over all this again. This was more or less like a kind of introduction to the game, show off what it's all about, and I might be building a rocket off camera, excuse me, and showing off how, well, just what I do, setting a plan and go for it. So thanks for watching. This was a short introduction into Kerbal Space Program, and I hope I see you next time with a more serious mission. So, as always, auf Wiedersehen.